The moment Lena opened her email, 5 million vanished. It wasn't a glitch or a typo, it was gone, siphoned from her startup's account in a heartbeat, leaving nothing but a sickening void. She stared at the screen in her Singapore office, the hum of air conditioning mocking her panic. Her hands trembled as she refreshed the banking portal, praying for a mistake. There was none. The money, every cent of seed funding for her fintech dream, PayVibe, was stolen. Her team, her future, her reputation, all teetered on the edge of collapse. By noon, she'd learned the truth. A deepfake imposter had orchestrated the heist, and the culprits were untouchable. Hidden in a Southeast Asian fraud factory, Lena Ng, 32, was no stranger to pressure. Raised in a HDB flat by a single mother, she'd clawed her way through NUS, then a grueling finance career, to co-found PayVibe with her best friend, Priya Menon. Their startup promised secure, low-cost remittances for migrant workers, a cause close to Lena's heart. Inspired by her mother's years as a domestic worker, PayVibe's team, a tight-knit crew of 6 women from Singapore, Malaysia, and India, had just celebrated their first major funding round. The $5 million was their lifeline to scale, to prove a women-led tech venture could thrive in Singapore's cutthroat startup scene. Now it was dust. The morning of the theft. Lena sat in PayVibe's modest office in Bugis, sunlight streaming through the window, unaware of the storm brewing. Her team buzzed with energy. Priya was tweaking their app's UI, while their coder, Aisha, debugged a payment gateway. Lena, the CFO, handled the finances, her meticulous nature a perfect fit. She'd just finished a call with their lead investor when the email arrived, marked urgent, from their CEO, Daniel Tan. It requested a $5 million transfer to finalize a confidential acquisition discussed in yesterday's video call. The email was polished, professional, Daniel's usual tone. Lena frowned. She didn't recall an acquisition, but the video call had been hectic, with Daniel and 2 board members outlining expansion plans. Her gut nagged her, but the email's details matched account numbers, timelines, even Daniel's quirky sign-off. Cheers, DT. She opened the banking portal, hesitating. The video call replayed in her mind, Daniel's face on Zoom, his familiar grin, his slight stammer when excited. The board members, too, had nodded along, their voices crisp. It felt real. She'd been tired, juggling investor pitches and payroll, so maybe she'd missed the acquisition talk. The email's urgency pressed her, complete by 10 a.m., to secure the deal. It was 9:45. Lena typed the transfer details, her finger hovering over confirm. She called Daniel's mobile to double-check. No answer. A text to Priya. Did Daniel mention an acquisition? Priya's reply. Not to me. Call him. Lena tried again. Voicemail. The clock ticked. 9:50. Lena's heart raced. Missing the deadline could tank the deal, and PayVibe couldn't afford to lose momentum. She trusted Daniel. He'd mentored her, believed in her when others didn't. The email's details were airtight. She hit confirm. The screen flashed transfer complete. Relief washed over her, tinged with unease. She emailed Daniel, transfer done. Call me. No reply. By 11 a.m., her unease turned to dread. She logged back into the bank. The account balance glared back $0. Lena's breath caught. She called the bank, her voice shaking. There's been a mistake. The manager's response was calm, clinical. The funds were wired to an offshore account, untraceable. Lena's mind spiraled. She stormed to Daniel's office, only to find him sipping coffee. Clueless. What acquisition, he said, his face paling. Priya and Aisha joined them, the air thick with confusion. They pulled up the email. Daniel's eyes narrowed. I didn't send this. They replayed the Zoom recording. The video looked perfect, Daniel's face. His voice, but something was off. His stammer was gone. The board members' gestures were too smooth. Lena's stomach dropped. "It's a deepfake," Aisha whispered. The truth hit like a freight train. They'd been scammed, not by a hacker in a hoodie, but by a sophisticated AI-driven fraud, executed with chilling precision. Lena's dream, her team's future, was collateral damage in a cybercrime epidemic sweeping 25. As the team sat in stunned silence, Lena's phone buzzed an ex-post from a cybersecurity expert. "Deepfake scams surge in CE. Verify before you transfer." Too late. Her world was already crumbling. Hey, if this story's got you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe for more cybercrime tales. Ever faced a scam? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. Lena's world shrank to the glow of her laptop screen, the zeros in PayVibe's bank account mocking her. The office, once alive with laughter and clacking keyboards, was now a tomb of stunned silence. Daniel paced, his phone pressed to his ear, barking at the bank for answers they didn't have. Priya sat frozen, her hands gripping a mug of tea gone cold. Aisha, ever the problem solver, was already scouring the Zoom recording for clues. Her brow furrowed. Lena felt their eyes on her, not accusing, but heavy with shared dread. She was the CFO. The transfer was her call. The weight of that decision crushed her chest, making each breath a struggle. She replayed the moment she hit confirm, dissecting every second. Why hadn't she waited for Daniel's reply? Why hadn't she trusted her gut? The email had been so convincing, the video call so real. She'd seen Daniel's face, heard his voice, but Aisha's words echoed deepfake. The term was a buzzword in 25, splashed across ex-posts about AI scams. But Lena never thought it would hit her. PayVibe was small, scrappy, a startup for migrant workers, not a flashy target like a bank. Yet here they were, gutted by a faceless enemy. Daniel hung up, his face grim. The bank's escalating it to their fraud team, but the money's likely gone. Offshore accounts, layered through crypto wallets. He didn't say it, but Lena heard the unspoken, "You should have checked." She wanted to scream that she'd tried, that she'd called him, texted Priya, done everything but read minds. Instead, she nodded, her throat tight. "What now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We call the police," Daniel said, "and we tell the team." Lena's stomach twisted. The team, her sisters in arms, women who'd left stable jobs to join PayVibe's mission. How could she face them? She thought of May, their Malaysian designer, who'd moved her family to Singapore for this job. Or Shanti, their Indian marketer, who'd turned down a corporate gig to join a startup with heart. They'd trusted Lena, and she'd let them down. The police arrived within the hour. 2 officers from Singapore's Cybercrime division. The lead, Inspector Tan, was a wiry man with sharp eyes and a notepad that never stopped moving. He listened as Lena recounted the email, the video call, the transfer. His questions were relentless. Did you verify the email domain, the account details, the video call platform? Lena's answers felt inadequate, each no a nail in her confidence. Inspector Tan's partner, Officer Lim, examined the Zoom recording on Aisha's laptop. "This is high-end," Lim muttered. "AI-generated faces, voice cloning. They probably scraped public data LinkedIn, X, company website." "Scraped?" Priya asked, her voice shaky. Lim nodded. "Your team's online. Photos, videos, posts. Scammers use AI to build perfect fakes. That Daniel on the call, probably stitched from his TEDx talk last year." Daniel cursed under his breath. Lena remembered that talk, Daniel's proud moment, now weaponized against them. She felt violated, as if their lives had been ransacked. Inspector Tan outlined the scam's likely origin, a fraud factory, probably in Cambodia or Myanmar, where cybercrime syndicates operated like corporations. They target startups, SMEs, anyone with liquid funds. He said, deepfakes are their new toy, hard to trace, harder to prosecute. Lena's mind reeled. She pictured a shadowy call center. Young scammers hunched over monitors, laughing as they drained her dreams. The thought made her nauseous. By evening, the team gathered in the office's tiny meeting room. Lena stood beside Daniel, her hands clasped to hide their trembling. She expected anger, but the room held only grief. May's eyes were red. Shanti stared at the floor. Aisha's fingers tapped restlessly. Daniel explained the scam, his voice steady but strained. We're working with the police, but the funds, it's unlikely we'll recover them. A collective exhale, like air escaping a punctured tire. What about us? Shanti asked softly. Daniel hesitated. We can't operate without capital. We may need to pause. A polite word for collapse. Lena saw her mother's face, the pride in her eyes when PayVibe launched. She saw the migrant workers they'd promised to help, now left with nothing. She saw her team, her family, facing layoffs. The room blurred as tears stung her eyes. She wanted to apologize, to beg forgiveness, but words failed her. As the team dispersed, Priya squeezed her hand. We'll fight this, she whispered. But Lena wasn't sure there was anything left to fight for. This scam's just the start. Stick with us to see how Lena fights back. Hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been targeted online? Let's talk. Lena barely slept, her mind trapped in a loop of the transfer confirmation screen and Daniel's face, real and fake, blending into a nightmare. By dawn, she was back in the PayVibe office, the silence deafening without the team's usual chatter. The police had left a stack of forms to complete, but Lena's focus was elsewhere, the deepfake video. If she could understand how it fooled her, maybe she could claw back some control. She sat at Aisha's desk, the coder's dual monitors still open to the Zoom recording. Lena hit play, bracing herself. Daniel's face filled the screen, his smile as warm as ever. We're finalizing the acquisition, he said, his tone confident, gesturing to two board members, Mr. Lim and Ms. Chen, flanking him. Their faces were familiar, their voices steady. Lena leaned closer, searching for flaws. Aisha had mentioned subtle signs, unnatural blinks, lip sync mismatches. But even now, knowing it was fake, Lena couldn't spot them. The AI was flawless, stitching together stolen fragments of real people into a lie that cost her everything. Her chest tightened with a mix of awe and rage. Aisha arrived, her hijab slightly askew, a sign of her own sleepless night. You're early, she said, dropping her bag. Lena pointed at the screen. How did they do this? How did I not see it? Aisha sighed, pulling up a chair. It's not your fault. Lena, these scams are next level. She opened a browser, pulling up posts from Cybersecurity accounts. One thread detailed a 2024 Hong Kong case, a finance worker tricked by a deepfake CFO into transferring $39 million. The parallels chilled Lena. They're using the same playbook, Aisha said. Public data, AI tools, and human error. Human error, Lena repeated. The words bitter. Aisha softened. Not just you, all of us. We trusted the call, the email. She clicked to a site listing open-source AI tools, voice cloners, face generators. Anyone with a decent GPU can make a deepfake now. Scammers buy data off the dark web, LinkedIn profiles, YouTube clips, posts. Daniel's TEDx talk gave them his voice. Your investor pitch video. That's your face, ready to be faked. Lena's skin crawled. She remembered that pitch, her proudest moment, now a liability. So they targeted us specifically, Aisha nodded. Startups are easy prey, new money. Lean teams, less red tape. They probably watched us for months. Lena pictured strangers dissecting her life, her team's lives, turning their ambitions into weapons. She wanted to unplug, to erase every trace of herself online, but that wouldn't undo the damage. Inspector Tan called. His voice clipped. "We've traced the email to a server in Cambodia, but it's a dead-end VPNs, proxies, the works. The offshore accounts already drained." Shuffled through crypto mixers, Lena's hope flickered. Any chance of catching them? Tan hesitated. These syndicates are ghosts. They operate in compounds, often with forced labor kids, trafficked workers. Even if we pinpoint the location, local authorities are complicated. Lena's mind flashed to news reports of Southeast Asian scam factories, modern-day sweatshops for cybercrime. The faceless enemy had faces now, but they were untouchable. Aisha, meanwhile, dug deeper into the Zoom file's metadata. "Look," she said, pointing to a string of code. The video stream was routed through a custom server, not Zoom's. They spoofed the platform. Lena stared. The technical details a blur. So they hacked Zoom. Aisha shook her head. "No, they faked the interface. You thought you were on Zoom, but it was their app, streaming their deepfake." The sophistication stunned Lena. This wasn't a lone hacker, it was a machine, systematic and merciless. By noon, Daniel called a meeting. The team gathered, their faces etched with worry. He outlined the grim reality without funds. PayVibe couldn't pay salaries or vendors. Investors were spooked, threatening to pull out. "We have 2 weeks to find a solution," he said. "Or we shut down." May's voice cracked. "What about our users? The workers we promised to help?" Lena's guilt surged. Those workers' maids, drivers, cleaners were why she'd started PayVibe. Now they'd lose a lifeline. As the team dispersed, Lena stayed, staring at the deepfake video. She wasn't a coder or a cop, but she was stubborn. If the scammers had studied her, she'd study them. She opened X, searching for deepfake scams, fraud factories, anything to arm herself. A post caught her eye, a whistleblower's account of escaping a Cambodian scam compound. The details were harrowing: armed guards, forced scams, stolen lives. Lena's resolve hardened. She'd lost $5 million, but she wouldn't lose her fight. This story's heating up. Want to see Lena's next move? Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What would you do in her shoes? Your stories keep us going. Lena's days blurred into a haze of coffee and screens, her life narrowing to a single mission: understand the enemy. The PayVibe office, once a haven of creativity, felt like a war room. Papers littered her desk: police reports, X threads, articles on deepfake tech. Her team was fraying, but Lena clung to the hope that knowledge could salvage something, anything, from the wreckage. She wasn't a detective, but she was PayVibe's CFO, and she'd be damned if she let the scammers win without a fight. Aisha became her ally, the coder's sharp mind slicing through the scam's layers. They spent hours dissecting the fake email, the deepfake video, the fraudulent bank account. Aisha traced the email's headers, revealing a chain of servers bouncing from Singapore to Thailand to Cambodia. "This is deliberate," Aisha said, her voice tight. "They're using relays to cover their tracks." Lena nodded, her jaw set. She pictured the scammers, faceless behind their monitors, laughing at her desperation. The thought fueled her. Inspector Tan visited, his notepad ever present. He brought news. None good. Interpol's flagged similar scams across Southeast Asia. He said, "Your case matches a syndicate called LotusNet, known for deepfake heists. They hit a Malaysian SME last month, drained $3 million. Lena's stomach churned. "Why us?" she asked. Tan shrugged. "Your visible press releases, investor pitches. Your funding round was public. They saw an opportunity. Lena cursed their naivety. PayVibe's success, their pride, had painted a target on their backs. Tan showed her a grainy photo, likely from a dark web leak, a scam compound in Cambodia, a concrete bunker ringed by barbed wire. Young men and women sat at rows of computers, their faces blank, some bruised. Many are victims themselves. Tan said, trafficked, coerced into scamming. The bosses stay hidden, raking in millions. Lena's anger faltered, replaced by a sickening pity. The scammers weren't just monsters. Some were prisoners, trapped like her team was now, in a different kind of cage. Aisha, meanwhile, cracked a piece of the puzzle. She'd analyzed the deepfake video's audio, isolating a faint hum in the background. Server fans, she said. Excited. High-powered ones, like in a data center. This wasn't made on a laptop. Lena leaned in, her pulse quickening. Can we trace it? Aisha hesitated. Maybe. I'm cross-referencing the audio signature with known scam hubs. But Lena, this is big. LotusNet has tech we can't match. Lena didn't care. A clue, however small, was progress. Outside work, Lena's life unraveled. Her mother called daily, sensing her stress. You're not eating, La, she chided, her voice thick with worry. Lena forced a smile, hiding the truth. She couldn't bear to tell her mother PayVibe was dying, that the dream inspired by her sacrifices was crumbling. Priya noticed Lena's strain, dragging her to a hawker center for laksa. You're killing yourself over this, Priya said, her eyes soft. We're a team. Lena, let us help. Lena nodded, but guilt gnawed her. She'd made the transfer. This was her burden. Back at the office, Daniel called a grim update. The investors were pulling out, unwilling to risk more on a compromised startup. We have 1 week, he said, his voice hollow. Then we're done. The team's faces mirrored Lena's despair. May spoke up, her voice fierce. We can't just quit. Those workers need us. Shanti nodded. Let's fight for them. For us, Lena's throat tightened. Their resolve shamed her. She'd been wallowing, but they were ready to battle. That night, Lena dove deeper into X, chasing leads on LotusNet. A post linked to a 2025 report on Southeast Asian fraud factories, detailing their tactics, AI tools, stolen data, psychological manipulation. One line chilled her victims. Often trust because the scam feels personal. The email's perfect mimicry of Daniel's tone, the deepfake's flawless face, it was tailored to her, exploiting her trust in her mentor. She felt violated, her relationships weaponized. Aisha texted, found something. Check your email. Lena opened it, heart pounding. Aisha had matched the video's audio hum to a server type used in a Cambodian industrial park. A known scam hub. It wasn't a smoking gun, but it was a step. Lena replied, keep digging. For the first time in days, she felt a spark of hope. The scammers were clever, but they weren't invincible. She'd study their game, learn their moves. PayVibe was bleeding, but Lena wasn't broken. Not yet. We're unraveling this scam. Stay with us to see what Lena uncovers next. Like, subscribe, and comment ever dug into a mystery like this. Your stories inspire us. Also, Lena's resolve burned bright, but the world kept testing it. The PayVibe office, once a beacon of hope, now felt like a sinking ship. The team's 1-week deadline loomed, and the air was thick with desperation. Lena spent her days chasing leads with Aisha, her nights haunted by the faces of her team, her mother, the migrant workers she'd failed. Her phone buzzed constantly, creditors, investors, reporters sniffing out the scandal. Each notification was a reminder PayVibe was dying, and Lena's mistake was the wound. Aisha's lead on the Cambodian server was their only lifeline. She'd narrowed the audio hum to a specific industrial park near Sihanoukville, a hotbed for scam compounds. "It's a start," Aisha said, her voice cautious but hopeful. They pored over satellite images on her laptop, zooming in on concrete bunkers and barbed wire. Lena's imagination ran wild rows of computers, coerced workers, a mastermind pulling strings, but the images were just pixels, not answers. "We need more," Lena said, her voice hoarse. Aisha nodded. "I'm trying, but we're not cops. We need help." Help came, unexpectedly, from Inspector Tan. He called Lena to the Cybercrime Division's headquarters, a sleek building in Novena. She arrived, nerves frayed, expecting another lecture. Instead, Tan introduced her to Maya, an Interpol analyst specializing in Southeast Asian cybercrime. Maya, a Malaysian woman with a calm intensity, laid out a folder thick with reports. "LotusNet's been on our radar," she said. "Your case fits their MO deepfakes, offshore accounts, targeted SMEs. We think they're based in Sihanoukville." Lena's pulse quickened. Aisha's hunch was right. Maya showed Lena a chart of LotusNet's operations, a sprawling network of scammers, tech experts, and money launderers. "They use AI to scrape data your CEO's TEDx talk, your LinkedIn posts. They study you, then strike." Lena's skin prickled. "How do we stop them?" Maya's eyes softened. "We're trying, but these compounds are fortified. Local corruption protects them, and the workers, many are trafficked, forced to scam or face violence." Lena thought of the grainy photo Tan had shown her. Those blank faces, her anger mixed with helplessness. Back at the office, Lena shared Maya's intel with the team. Their reactions varied. Daniel's jaw tightened. Priya's eyes welled up. May scribbled notes. Shanti, usually quiet, spoke up. "If we can't get the money back, can we at least warn others?" Lena seized the idea. A public warning could save another startup, another dream. They brainstormed a blog post, an X thread, maybe a press conference. But Daniel hesitated. "Going public could kill our reputation. Investors already think we're reckless." Lena's stomach sank. He was right, but silence felt like surrender. The pressure broke Lena that night, alone in her flat. She stared at a photo of her mother, taken at PayVibe's launch. Her mother's smile, so proud, felt like a rebuke. Lena's phone pinged a message from May, found a job ad. "Leaving next week." Then Shanti. "I'm sorry, Lena, I can't stay." The team was unraveling, and Lena couldn't stop it. She poured a glass of wine, then another, her thoughts spiraling. She'd trusted Daniel's fake face, ignored her gut, and now her team was paying the price. The wine glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. She didn't clean it up. Morning brought a new blow. Daniel called an emergency meeting. A major vendor, owed $50,000, was suing PayVibe. "We're out of options," he said, his voice flat. "I'm filing for bankruptcy." The words hit Lena like a slap. Bankruptcy meant the end layoffs. Shame, her dream in ashes. Priya argued, "We can crowdfund, pivot, something." But Daniel shook his head. "It's over." Lena wanted to fight, but her strength was gone. She saw her mother's sacrifices, her team's trust, crumbling to nothing. Aisha, undeterred, texted Lena. "Meet me tonight. Got a lead." Lena dragged herself to a cafe in Little India, where Aisha waited with a laptop and a fierce look. "I hacked into a dark web forum," Aisha whispered. "Found a LotusNet recruiter boasting about your heist. They're planning another hit, a Thai startup." Lena's exhaustion lifted, replaced by a flicker of purpose. "Can we warn them?" Aisha grinned. "Already did, anonymously." "But Lena, this forum's a goldmine. Usernames, server IPs. We could expose LotusNet." Lena's heart raced. It was risky, maybe illegal, but it was a chance to strike back. As they plotted, Lena felt a spark reignite. PayVibe was dying, but she wasn't. The scammers had taken her money, her team, her dream, but not her fight. She'd expose them, protect others, even if it cost her everything. This fight's getting intense. Stay with Lena's battle. Like, subscribe, and comment. What's your take on fighting back? Your thoughts fuel this story. Lena's heart pounded as she huddled with Aisha in the dimly lit cafe, the smell of curry and coffee grounding her. Aisha's laptop glowed with the dark web forum, a digital underworld where LotusNet's recruiters bragged about their heists. The posts were chilling boasts of draining PayVibe, plans for a Thai startup, even tips on crafting deepfakes. Lena's anger surged, but so did her resolve. These weren't untouchable ghosts. They were people, careless enough to leave traces. She leaned closer, her voice low. What can we do with this? Aisha's eyes gleamed. Expose them. The forums got usernames, some linked to real IPs. I traced one to a server in Sihanoukville, same park as our audio lead. Lena's mind raced. Exposing LotusNet could warn others, maybe even pressure authorities. But it was a minefield. Hacking was illegal, and LotusNet wasn't a corner shop. It was a syndicate with resources and reach. If we do this, Lena said, we're painting targets on our backs. Aisha nodded, unflinching. Worth it to save another PayVibe. They spent hours strategizing. Aisha would scrape the forum for data, IP addresses, aliases, anything tying LotusNet to the scam. Lena would compile a dossier, the deepfake video, email headers, Maya's Interpol reports. They'd leak it anonymously to cybersecurity blogs and ex-influencers, hoping to spark outrage. Lena thought of Shanti's idea to warn others. This was bigger a chance to not just warn, but wound the beast that gutted her dream. Back home. Lena's flat was a mess: unwashed dishes, scattered papers, the broken wine glass still on the floor. She ignored it. Diving into her laptop, she drafted a summary of the scam, careful to anonymize PayVibe's details. A Singapore startup lost $5 million to a deepfake heist. She wrote, "The culprit's LotusNet, a Cambodian syndicate using AI to exploit trust." She included Aisha's findings, the server hum, the forum posts. Her fingers trembled as she typed. This wasn't just revenge, it was justice for her team, her mother, the workers. PayVibe failed. The next day, Lena met Priya at the office. The space eerily quiet with half the team gone. Priya's eyes were red. She'd been job hunting, her optimism fading. Lena shared the plan. "We're exposing LotusNet," she said. Priya's face lit up. "Count me in. Let's make them bleed." They roped in May, who hadn't left yet, her design skills perfect for a viral infographic. The team's remnants rallied, their shared pain forging a new purpose. Daniel, though, was skeptical. This could backfire. He warned, "We're bankrupt. Why risk more?" Lena met his gaze. "Because we're not just victims. We're fighters." Aisha's dark web dive yielded gold, a LotusNet recruiter's email, carelessly unencrypted, linking to a Sihanoukville address. Lena cross-referenced it with Maya's reports. It matched a known scam hub. She felt a thrill, like a hunter closing in. But fear followed. What if LotusNet retaliated? She pictured her mother, alone in her HDB flat, or Priya, vulnerable in a new job. Still, she pressed on, her guilt over the transfer fueling her courage. By evening, the dossier was ready, a 10-page PDF with screenshots, timelines, and warnings about deepfake scams. May's infographic was stark red text over a blurred deepfake of Daniel. "Your CEO could be fake. Verify before you transfer." Lena hesitated, her cursor over send. Leaking this could ruin PayVibe's last shred of credibility. Or worse, provoke LotusNet. But silence meant letting them win. She clicked, sending the file to 3 cybersecurity blogs and an ex-whistleblower with 50,000 followers. The response was swift. By midnight, the ex-post went viral, retweeted by tech journalists and fraud victims. Another deepfake scam in SG. LotusNet's behind it. Check this dossier. The whistleblower wrote, linking their file. Lena watched the likes climb, her stomach in knots. Comments poured in. This happened to my company. Cambodia needs to shut these compounds down. A few were darker. You're fools for falling for it. Lena winced, but kept reading. Hungry for traction. Inspector Tan called, his tone sharp. Your leak's making waves, but it's reckless. LotusNet's not a street gang they'll notice. Lena swallowed. Good. Let them squirm. Tan sighed. We're watching the Sihanoukville hub. Your dossier's helping, but don't play hero. Lena hung up, her defiance tinged with dread. She'd poked a hornet's nest, and the buzz was growing louder. As she lay in bed, her phone lit up with an email from an unknown address. Nice try. Lena, we see you? Her blood ran cold. LotusNet knew her name. The fight was no longer abstract, it was personal, and it was coming for her. This is getting real stick with Lena's risky gamble. Like, subscribe and comment. Would you leak the truth? Your courage fuels this story. Lena's breath caught as she stared at the email. Nice try. Lena, we see you. The words glowed on her screen. A digital taunt from LotusNet, her flat. Already a mess of papers and unwashed mugs. Felt like a trap closing in. Her first instinct was to call Inspector Tan, but fear stopped her. What if LotusNet was watching her now, hacking her phone, her life? She slammed her laptop shut, her heart hammering. The scammers had her name, her attention. She'd wanted to strike back, but this was too close, too real. Morning brought no relief. Lena barely slept, her dreams a blur of deepfake faces and faceless pursuers. She dragged herself to the PayVibe office, now a skeleton of its former self. Only Priya and Aisha remained, their desks islands in a sea of empty chairs. Lena showed them the email, her voice shaking. Priya's eyes widened. They're bluffing, right, trying to scare you. Aisha wasn't so sure. They've got resources. If they traced our leak, they could target us. Lena's stomach twisted. She'd pulled her team into a war, and now they were all at risk. Aisha checked her laptop, her fingers flying. I've got alerts on the dark web forum. LotusNet's spooked posts about Singapore leaks and tightening security. Lena felt a grim satisfaction. Their dossier was working, stirring chaos in the syndicate's ranks. But the email gnawed at her. What do they want? She asked. Aisha's face darkened. To shut us up. If we keep pushing, they'll push back harder. Priya slammed her fist on the desk. Let them try. They took everything we've got, nothing to lose. Lena wished she shared Priya's fire, but fear was winning. She called Inspector Tan, her voice low. He was curt. We saw the email, forwarded it to our techs. Looks like a scare tactic, but stay vigilant. No more leaks. Lena. She bristled at his tone but nodded. Any progress on the Sihanoukville hub? Tan hesitated. Your dossier tipped off Interpol. They're planning a raid, but its delicate local cops are compromised. Lena's hope flickered. A raid could dismantle LotusNet, but it felt distant, like chasing smoke. Back at the office, the team doubled down. Aisha fortified their devices, enabling two-factor authentication and VPNs. Priya monitored X, where their leak was gaining traction. Tech blogs were picking up the story, naming LotusNet as a rising threat. A Singapore news outlet reached out, wanting an interview. Daniel, still licking his wounds from bankruptcy, vetoed it. We're radioactive, he said. Talking now will bury us. Lena disagreed but stayed quiet. She'd already defied him with the leak. Pushing further could fracture what little unity remained. Midday. A breakthrough came. Aisha found a new dark web post, a LotusNet operative complaining about server downtime after the leak. "They're scrambling," Aisha said, grinning. "Our dossier's forcing them to reconfigure." Lena's fear eased slightly. They'd hurt LotusNet, even if just a scratch. She thought of the trafficked workers in the scam compound, their blank faces in Tan's photo. If the raid succeeded, maybe they'd be freed. The thought gave her purpose, a reason to keep fighting. But LotusNet wasn't done. That evening, Lena's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Back off, or your mum's next." Her blood froze. She called her mother, her voice frantic. "Ma, are you okay?" Her mother, confused, was fine, cooking dinner in her HDB flat. Lena exhaled, but the threat lingered. She forwarded the text to Tan, who promised to send a patrol car. "They're escalating," he warned. "Stay low." Lena wanted to scream. Low, she'd lost her company, her team, her peace. There was no lower. Priya and Aisha rallied around her, their loyalty a lifeline. "We're in this together," Priya said, squeezing Lena's hand. They brainstormed defenses, moving Lena's mother to a friend's house, limiting their online presence. Aisha suggested a countermove feeding LotusNet false data. "We could plant a fake lead on the forum," she said. "Make them chase their tails." Lena hesitated. Hacking was a line she hadn't crossed, but nodded. "Do it." Aisha posted a bogus tip about a Singapore sting, hinting at police closing in. It was a gamble, but Lena was all in. By night, X was ablaze with their story. A hashtag, #StopLotusNet, trended, fueled by victims sharing their own scam tales. Lena read them, her heart heavy. A Malaysian florist, a Thai hotel, all gutted by deepfakes. She felt less alone, but the threats loomed. As she locked the office, her phone pinged again. "You can't hide." She froze. The streetlights casting long shadows. LotusNet was watching, and the raid was days away. Lena's fight had drawn blood, but the war was far from over. This battle's at its peak. Stay with Lena's stand. Like, subscribe, and comment. How would you face a threat like this? Your stories keep us fighting. Lena's world had shrunk to a tightrope, each step a gamble between fight and flight. The threatening texts, "You can't hide," echoed in her mind, a constant drumbeat of dread. She hadn't slept properly in days, her flat a fortress of locked doors and drawn curtains. Her mother was safe, tucked away at a friend's house, but Lena felt exposed, as if LotusNet's eyes were everywhere. The Payvibe office, now just a husk, was her last bastion. She sat there alone, Aisha's laptop open, X posts scrolling past, Stop LotusNet trending, her dossier fueling a global outcry. She'd drawn blood, but the cost was mounting. Aisha and Priya were her anchors, their defiance keeping her upright. Aisha's fake forum post had worked. LotusNet operatives were panicking, their dark web chatter frantic about a Singapore sting. It bought time, but Lena knew it was temporary. Inspector Tan's promised raid on the Sihanoukville compound was imminent, yet details were scarce. "Interpol's moving," he'd said in their last call, his voice taut. "Your leak forced their hand, but it's messy. Stay offline." Lena tried, but the urge to check X, to see her fight ripple, was irresistible. Mid-morning, Priya burst in, her face alight. "Check this." She shoved her phone at Lena, showing a Reuters article, "Interpol targets Cambodian cybercrime hub after startups leak." The story cited Payvibe's dossier, anonymized but unmistakable. Lena's heart leapt. Their gamble was paying off. LotusNet was cornered. But the article warned of risks. Local militias guarded the compounds, and past raids had failed. Lena's hope flickered. What if the raid flopped? What if LotusNet slipped away? her threats unanswered. Aisha arrived, her hijab damp from rain, carrying news. "The forum's gone dark," she said. "LotusNet's servers are offline, probably spooked by the raid buzz." Lena exhaled, a rare moment of relief, but Aisha's next words chilled her. "I found another post, deleted but cached. It mentioned retaliation if the raid hits." Lena's throat tightened. She pictured her team, her mother, caught in LotusNet's crosshairs. "We need to warn Tan," she said, dialing his number. He was brusque. "We're on it. Lay low, Lena. No heroics." Laying low felt like betrayal. Payvibe was bankrupt. Her team scattered, May and Shanti gone. Daniel a ghost. Only Priya and Aisha stayed, their loyalty a knife in Lena's guilt. She'd sparked this war, and now they were all targets. Yet the ex-posts kept her going, victims thanking her, startups sharing verification tips, a community rising from her pain. She drafted a final X-thread. Her fingers steady, deepfake scams stole our dream, but we fought back. Verify every call, every email. Don't let LotusNet win. She hit post, watching the likes climb. It wasn't victory, but it was defiance. That afternoon, Tan called. "The raid's done." Lena held her breath. "We hit the Sihanoukville hub. 40 arrests. Servers seized. Some were trafficked workers' kids. Mostly, they're safe now." Lena's eyes stung, and LotusNet Tan's voice hardened. "The bosses slipped away. We got their tech, but the money's gone, laundered through crypto." Lena's hope crashed. $5 million, her dream, vanished. But the rescued workers, the seized servers, those were wins, however small. The news broke on X, videos of the raid going viral, police storming a concrete bunker. Young faces led to safety. Lena watched, tears falling. She saw her mother in those faces, her team, herself, people who trusted, who fought. Priya hugged her, Aisha joining in. "We did this," Priya whispered. Lena nodded, her grief and pride tangled. Payvibe was dead, but its fight lived on. Days later, Lena stood in her mother's HDB flat, the smell of sambal filling the air. She'd told her everything, the scam, the leak, the raid. Her mother listened, then cupped Lena's face. "You fought, La. That's enough." Lena cried, the weight lifting, if only slightly. She'd lost Payvibe, but not herself. The threat stopped. LotusNet's silence a fragile truce. Lena knew they'd rise again, but so would she. She opened X one last time, posting a photo of her team at Payvibe's launch, smiling, unbroken. "This was us. Scams took our money, but not our fight. Learn from us, verify, question, protect." The comments flooded in stories. "Thanks. Resolve." Lena smiled. Her dream was gone, but its echo would save others. That was her legacy. Thanks for writing with Lena's story. Like, subscribe, and comment. What's your cybersecurity tip? Share to keep this fight alive. Stay safe out there. This is the final part. If you'd like an epilogue or a new story, let me know.